we see that nonprofits really, of course, they want funding, but they really just want people to know about them. They want the exposure.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Connections That Matter, where we share stories of Northern Colorado's best networkers, and we find out all the things they do that make them successful. Today, we have a special episode. We are doing a partnership deep dive, and we are featuring both Jackie and Giuli from the Mayorettes. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So share a little bit, for those who haven't met you guys, share a little bit about your background and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. So the Mayorettes was founded by 3 women. So we each have a strong connection to the community, to giving back, and to really giving back the best that we can. So the 3 of us brings a different background, very unique background. So I think that's what makes the group so powerful. The 3 of us are connected to different board of directors. We have passions for different nonprofits, although we're also learning that we love all of them, even the baby squirrels all the way to children advocacy. So we are 3 best friends, and we tried to figure out a way, like, how can we use social media platform to give back and to highlight these nonprofits that perhaps are just starting off, are established, but perhaps don't have someone that could do their social media. So we meet with them and we take the time to understand exactly the deep root of why they got started and how they're supporting the community that we live in. And then we will, go visit their site or go meet with them for coffee and get to know them a little bit better. And then that way we can support them, whether it's going to an event or helping them connect with a business owner that wants to give back or perhaps wants to set up volunteering. So we support them in any way that we can, even just by highlighting them. And one of the great things is we've learned that there's a lot of people in our network that have never heard of these nonprofits. So they're like, oh, wow, I've never heard of this person, or I've never heard that, we have someone in our community that supports this type of nonprofit. So that's kind of a big gist of who we are and what we love about the Mayorettes.
How did you guys find each other, having a love for nonprofits? And I guess share us about the time that you guys met or came together.
Well, again, so we're 3 really close friends that have known each other for a few years, and 2 of us are business owners. Julie's global HR director. You met Carrie through Rotary of Fort Collins, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we met she got me involved in Rotary. I wanted to find a way to volunteer and give back in the community when I first moved out here. So she got me plugged into Rotary of Fort Collins. And then I met Jackie through mutual friends. And she also has her own foundation and, has a love to give back to the community. So the 3 of us were already going to events. And then we just found each other sitting at the same table and talking about different organizations. So obviously that was one of the shared passions that we had together.
So shared passion, but you said different skill sets where you guys collectively, the we has just a really dynamic powerhouse of stuff. But how would you describe the different skill sets that each of you bring to the partnership?
Well, Carrie, who's not here, she's a partner at OTM, so she comes with a strong marketing background. She's also a true native, I guess, a local, unlike Giuli and I. So she's connected in the community just naturally. So I would say that. For myself, I'd say I'm a lifelong entrepreneur, a connector. I love connecting people, building relationships. I also have a creative background coming from the music industry in a past life. So bring a little bit of creativity to the group. And then Giuli?
Yeah, and I am originally from Peru, so I have a little bit of a different background. I was born in Peru, and I moved to New Jersey and kind of moved out to Colorado about 18 years ago now. And really, my background is connecting with the Latino community. I'm the corporate girly in the group. So I kind of bring like more of a larger kind of view of how we can, grow into a bigger impact to give back to the community. And then, my path was we just attended the Boys and Girls Club of Larimer County, Great Futures Gala. And that's how I was a Boys and Girls kid. So I'm able to connect in a different way of, I've seen it come full circle for myself and my family. So that's been really great. So we all have a little bit of a different background.
What would you say are some of the biggest issues that nonprofits are facing right now?
Well, besides, the obvious one of lack of funding, major shift in federal funding, I would say, there are 2,500 nonprofits just in Larimer County. So it's a crazy number. I think we see that nonprofits really, of course, they want funding, but they really just want people to know about them. They want the exposure. They want to, right? Would you say that?
Yeah.
They want exposure. They want people to know what they're doing. I think also, since there are so many, not finding the right niche and what they can offer the community, not stepping on other nonprofits' toes. Let's not reinvent the wheel of what we're already offering, what's already out there in the community. So really creating what can we offer that maybe someone else is not already offering.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's also being able to learn from each other. Like I said earlier, there's nonprofits that have a board directors of 2 people, and there's nonprofits that have board directors of 16 people. So I think it's also leaning on each other, even though they might have they might be in a different sector, being able to lean on each other. One of the great things we learned about was we met with Annalie with La Familia Center in Fort Collins. And I always thought hey, we should meet with different sectors, child advocacy and, Animal Alliance. And what she shared with us, which was a learning experience for us, was, hey, we rely on Animal Friends Alliance to support us with food pantry, because it turns out that when you are dealing with homelessness, you're doing whatever you can to also support your pets. So I thought that was an interesting insight of how they do partner together to support people in the community in different ways.
And having connections with the nonprofits and the local business community, how do you pair people together to help them put the right resources with the right needs?
A lot of conversations, because we have to realize what business owners that we connect with are passionate about. And then we really want to have a pulse on all the nonprofits. We're getting there to the 2,500. We haven't met with them all yet. But really getting a pulse. We do see ourselves as big connectors. So finding out what the passions are, what the needs are. For example, Safe Families of Northern Colorado. They had a gala a few months ago. They did not have a photographer. We have a photographer friend. We pitched the organization to her. She said, wow, I resonate with this mission. And she stepped in, a week before their event and did amazing photography for them. So it's how can we make those connections, and just, a lot of conversations.
Well, Northern Colorado is such a big, small place. There's population around, but it's still got that small community feel. And, I notice, I'm sure as you do, that small business owners want to feel like they're connected to their community. They don't really know how to do that, right? So if I have a business and want to give back or invest, rather than just writing a check, what are some ways that I can help nonprofits and stuff?
Yeah, I think the first thing is trying to figure out what you're passionate about. So every business owner has a different passion. I recently met with a business owner a couple of weeks ago that said, hey, I watch my family and my mother go through domestic violence abuse. So I'd like to be connected with a nonprofit that supports women in that sector. So we were able to connect them with that person. And a lot of times small businesses are also, going through their own struggles, and it's not always about writing a check. It's about, hey, I'd like to offer my space up for an event, or I'd like to have my team come and volunteer, or can we drop off, snacks that you can have for families when they're coming in during hard times. So there are different ways that they can connect. It's just sitting down and understanding exactly what are you passionate about. Some people love animals, they love the wildlife. So we're connecting them with organizations like Greenwood Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, and partnering with them to see, what are some different ways that they can give back. Especially there's some nonprofits that just focus on volunteer hours. There's some nonprofits that really do need the extra funding. So it just really depends on what the business can give and, what the organization needs.
when you are matchmaking, how do you push them together so the relationships form, right? Because that's what I'm really hearing is that if I'm passionate about a cause and then I'm connected with somebody who's being a part of the cause, there's opportunity to grow together. What does that look like from like the first connections to really making an impact together?
Yeah. A lot of coffee. We like coffee meetings and to bring those people into a room together, because I think traditionally, there's a lot of galas and events, and those nonprofits, that's their big money maker for the year, right? But sometimes you don't have the connection after you leave the room. So we are really trying to continue that connection beyond that one fantastic night. And, getting them together. Also, nonprofits love giving tours if they're able to. Some don't have the ability because it's, sensitive nature of clients they're helping. But we did even go have a tour of Sava. We've seen Casa Space, Child Safe, all these wonderful nonprofits. They'd love to invite you in to have a tour. So if you're a business owner, come in that way. And they are, the nonprofits are very thankful for your time and loyal to you as a business owner and a business. They will support you. I've supported nonprofits and they come into my salon and their employees of the nonprofits get haircuts, and it's a very symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, I would agree.
What about joining a board, right? Because I know both of you have been on multiple boards or nonprofits. If I'm thinking about or maybe been asked to be on a board, how do I know if it's right for me?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, if I kind of think back to when I started sitting in a board, it's something that I was really passionate about. Again, I think it really comes down to exactly what you want to support. But I always say, reaching out or being able to check on their social media page or their website and seeing if that's something that you want to support. I will say it's a lot of time and dedication. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to just join the board of directors. I'm like, no, that's a lot of time. And you're bringing your skill set to that table.
Yeah.
And you're volunteering your time to support them and to make them better, make them stronger. So I do think that if it's something you're passionate about and the mission, connects with you, then definitely reach out and see, what board of director positions they have available and what you can offer. The first thing I ever said was, I'm in HR and I know people and I can support you with that. And they're like, great, we're struggling with our staff. So please come and give us some feedback, from the legal compliance standpoint. So it's really what you can offer too.
And to be around other people who have their unique skill set with the same shared passion for it. There's some valuable networking. I've heard of some really great connections of people who joined a board, served together, built trust with each other, and have grown on for that. Where do you see the nonprofit landscape going in the next 2 or 3 years in Northern Colorado?
I would say, I think meeting with nonprofits has been so impactful. I would like them to get extra funding. But I do think it's looking at the next generation of support they're going to receive. Mm-hmm. So if we think about the business owners right now who are perhaps, retiring or, perhaps giving their business to the next generation, their family, it's that generation that's going to start to struggle of how am I going to give back? Yes, my grandparents or my parents were really passionate about this, but I'm passionate about something different. And it's how does me giving back also support me in my business? So it's also thinking that way as well. But it's getting that next generation to say, okay, I need to understand the importance of it giving back and the impact my business can give the community. And so I see it as more of the next generation being educated on how to give back, whether it's volunteering, whether it's providing their services for an event or whatever it might be. I think it's more of that educational piece. And we're using social media. So it is looking as, oh, wow, that event looked really great. How can I get more involved? Or, hey, that place looks really nice. How they would look great with a new website, whatever it might be. So I think supporting in that way would be great.
Do you notice that nonprofits, they're sharing their own mission, but when you share the mission, it lands different, right? It's like a third-party recommendation or endorsement. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of advocacy is huge for nonprofits as they come together. Thinking of the Mayorettes, right? So both of you very successful, doing your own thing, and then having this shared passion. What was that like drawn up on the napkin? Hey, let's create the Mayorettes. What were those conversations like?
You should speak to that.
Yeah, it was literally drawn up on a napkin.
Was it? Okay.
We did a little yoga retreat, the three of us, in January in Arizona, and we really spent the time like, we have this idea. I think someone once called us the Mayorettes out in Old Town, just because we like to meet people and make connections, and we were like, oh, Mayorettes, that's a great idea. Like, a mayor uplifts and enriches their community. We want to do the same with the nonprofit and small business community of Northern Colorado. So it was, a lot of drawn up on a napkin. What else were some of those conversations we had around it?
Yeah, and I think, I like to think the three of us are very powerful. We're a powerhouse, and we have so many different ideas to bring forward, just because of our different backgrounds. But I think we also decided at that point, like, this is a passion project. This is something that fills our cups. And we didn't want it to be, I would say, like a business that is like asking nonprofits, like, hey, we're contracting and you can pay us X amount of money, right? Or you have to give us tickets, whatever it might be, right? It really came down to, we don't want to be a nonprofit. We don't really want to be a business, but we want to be the connector for businesses and nonprofits.
Well, and the exciting thing too is I think we're still evolving in the idea of this. Like, we really did only launch this in February, and we're so happy and honored that it's starting to grow as quickly as it has, because I think there is a need for this. But we have ideas in the future. Like, we have people approach us all the time. How can I become a mayorette? I want to be a part of what you're doing. So we have already the gears are moving in our heads about how we could potentially expand this, include more people, and really create a movement.
So you guys are doing yoga, going out afterwards, drawing it up. A lot of partnerships or joint marketing activities, the ideas happen organically like that, but very few actually move into implementation and action. So any tips that you would have for people who have a good idea or something that could change something to actually put it into motion?
Well, that's our good skill set there, because we had HR over here who kept us on track. We had Carrie as the marketing person, and me as kind of the disorganized entrepreneur with lots of ideas. And yes, I have sometimes, I think getting people who support you, know what you're trying to do, and can keep pushing you along and keeping you accountable for that, because we could not have done it individually. We had to have done it as a group, or else it wouldn't have gotten to where we are right now. So I think, yes, sharing what you're trying to accomplish with those that you trust within your circle, your family, friends, and asking them to keep you accountable and help you in your journey, and help encourage you when things are getting kind of crazy and there's a lot going on. I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also the network, right? So each of us has a very large network. Carrie being a Colorado native, Jackie, she has an art gallery in her salon, and myself, just overall networks that we've had being in Rotary. So I do think that helped a lot. I think people saw the potential, and, when we shared the idea, they like, this makes total sense. This works for you. You're so connected to the community. And you have such a large and unique network. So I think that really helped out the Mayorettes grow.
Who steers it, or how do you steer it, right? Because you come up with each individually great ideas or different ideas. What's the communication like as you continuing to grow and the Mayorettes are building their brand?
Yeah, like Jackie shared, we started in February of this year. And there's only three of us, and we also have full-time jobs.
Right.
So it's really been a unique and learning experience. We were just driving here and we're like, well, this was a good learning experience. We probably would do something a little bit different next time. I would say as far as roles, I think it's equal. We each had the idea. Yeah, I work more kind of behind the scenes on the social media aspect. Jackie and Carrie are very strong connectors. Jackie has the connections with nonprofits, supports. She was able to introduce us to many nonprofits. So I think we just work together, but really we're just texting and emailing. We're like, how does this sound? Can we tour this day? What do you think about this reel or this song? So
it helps we really like each other.
Do you guys have
friends to begin
a
with.
standing coffee, or is it there's a group chat that you guys
hour,
happy hour? There always are the best ideas come with wine. So,
Okay.
Yes.
Well, very cool. As far as the events and galas and stuff, if I'm starting a nonprofit, maybe I'm inspired by a different nonprofit or something, but what are you seeing that's really working well, or people who do it at a high level?
Wow. Galas and events take a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it's not the right approach for every organization, I think. So nonprofits that can really, who are you trying to target? There's some that are brand new, and what they need is eyes on their mission and what they're doing. So maybe in that case, a happy hour get together at, a very charitable, wonderful business locally that can support that, bringing people together and just what is the mission and sharing that, kind of like a lunch and learn type style. Maybe that's what some nonprofits need. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, it does take a lot of work. It takes a village, which is why I think the smaller nonprofits have a little bit of a harder time. And it really depends on, like she said, who you're trying to target. I mean, some of them don't do the events, but they'll do a golf tournament because that's, typically their biggest, their way to fund. So it really just depends. I would say all of them are very unique. The event, we just went to Boys and Girls Club of Larimer County's event, which was really dear to my heart. But, they had a DJ and they had a paddle raise and, they had it at CSU. So it just really depends on who they're trying to target. If most of their sponsors are large corporate companies, perhaps they're looking at something different, more of a golf tournament. But if you have, local businesses, they might want you to come have dinner at the gala. So I think it just really depends. But to your point, when you mentioned earlier, if you wanted to start a nonprofit or were passionate, that's another thing that I'll also add is we have a lot of people who come to us and say, I want to start a nonprofit. Right. And we're like, great. What would you like to do? And they're like, well, I want to support, women who are, struggling with domestic violence. Oh, well, it turns out there is already an organization, or they also partner with, Crossroads Safe House. So there's all these different ways that we've also said, hey, why don't you meet with these nonprofits that are doing something that you're passionate about and see if you can connect with them instead of starting a new nonprofit, because we know that could be a very interesting process, long process. So it's also building that connections with those people we love it. I mean, we love that they want to start a nonprofit, but it's also, let's not recreate the wheel.
Where do you find out about that stuff? Is there I talk to you guys and say who does what, but if I'm searching as Charity Navigator or something different than that?
There's I hope I'm saying it right, the NOCO nonprofit networking sector. Mm-hmm. Okay. They're a group of nonprofits locally. I think they meet once a quarter. They have a meeting coming up, and they're open. They'll let anybody go in who's interested in learning more. So that would be a great place. Mm-hmm. That's one thing we've talked about wanting to do is having more opportunities for nonprofits themselves to get together in a room, right? Mm-hmm. Because they need to meet each other and collaborate. There's opportunities there. Founded in FOCO, that's where you and I met. I've met a lot of nonprofits there and generous businesses and individuals who are interested in getting involved.
And I think they did... this last round, they did a whole section of Founded in FOCO, which was how do you start a nonprofit? Mm-hmm. So I thought that was great. And I think you recommended that to someone that reached out to us on social media and said, I'd love to start a nonprofit. Can you help direct me? And we directed them to Founded in FOCO.
What other networking tips would you give for nonprofits, whether it's I'm a member of a board and then I'm representing my business, but I'm also representing this nonprofit? How do you navigate, networking when you're involved with a nonprofit?
I always say when I introduce myself at an event like that, I wear many hats. So let me tell you about a few hats I like to wear. I think I just get a general sense from the person I'm meeting, would they have an interest in this? I always say I'll say I'm on the board of sound effects. That's who I'm on the board for. Shout out. Supporting them, inviting people I meet out to the events.
Yeah, I mean, Jackie is a great example. I mean, Jackie is a business owner, and I think part of her brand is, yes, I'm a business owner. I own a woman-owned business, but also being able to give back to the community, I think really is inspiring. There's a lot of businesses out there, but to say like, hey, yes, I'm also sitting on the board and I also give back, and I give back in these different ways, I think it just to me puts like a cherry on top of it. Like, yes, you'll have my business.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of networking is building curiosity. And if I'm not leading about with trying to make a sale or just totally representing my business, but I'm sharing about the things I'm passionate about and the work that I'm doing in the community, people get interested in you, especially if they have that shared resource as well.
And a thing too is like yes, supporting the community is now part of my personal brand and my business brand. For our salon, it's healthy hair, thriving community. Like I truly take that to heart. We do a lot of events at my business. Like we just did an Animal Friends Alliance fundraiser this past weekend. We did a puppy yoga class. I invited other small businesses in there. We had Love and Latte. We had a great yoga instructor. And that's a great way to go to a networking event and be like, hey, this is a recent event I just did. And it shows that you're a business owner doing great things in the community and you're passionate about nonprofits and giving back. So that's great. If you can offer something like that as a business owner, that's a great talking point.
Yeah, you want to be seen. And there's Mayorettes, you help people be seen with the socials. So if you want to share your ats and so people can follow you or get connected.
Okay. Yes, at the Mayorettes. So that is our Instagram. We also have a website, the Mayorettes, and then we also have a TikTok that we just started. So
do we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that. See?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Follow the Mayorettes.
TikTok.
Yeah.
And then, you can reach us at hello@themayorettes.com if you need to get in touch with us.
Really cool. Well, Jackie and Giuli, appreciate you coming on the show and sharing about what you can dream up at a yoga retreat. And it's cool to see from the work that you've done. Like I think I met you in Anoko Style back in February, and to see how fast it's grown, like you've definitely caught some energy into here. And thanks for sharing, insight into partnerships and making collaboration successful. So appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll see you around Northern Colorado.
Thanks for having us.
Hey all, thanks for watching. I love networking and building relationships with other Northern Colorado business leaders. So if you want to come meet some of these podcast guests, meet me, or meet some other amazing entrepreneurs in Northern Colorado, I would love to have you attend one of our next events. Go in the podcast description. There's a ways that you can see our upcoming schedule, and maybe you could be a future podcast guest as well. Thanks.